My name is Joe Taras. I was born in Greece, in a city called Larissa. Now I live in the United States. I live in California, in Rancho Mirage. I'm 75 years old. When we lived in Greece at that time, no, we didn't see any signs because it was very peaceful actually, because the Italians were there. And when the Italians left the city, the Germans were coming in, and then as they were coming in, they were killing all the people in the streets that I happened to see together with my brothers. I have two sisters, and we dug a hole in a closet, and every night my sisters would go into that hole up to their heads and a straw in their mouth, and they were completely covered. My father was afraid that they're going to come, Germans or who else, and they were going to molest my sisters. So he buried both my sisters into the closet, and in the morning my sisters came out. Every night they were doing that for 6 to 8 months. My sisters were living, standing in that closet. And that was the time that my father decided to leave the city. And we went up in a mountain and lived for 18 months, 19 months in a cave. When we were leaving the city with the cart, and we saw Germans going into homes, and they were taking Jewish people out, and they were putting them in trucks, and they were carrying them away, and we were going the opposite side, and nobody bothered us because we were just at a horse, and they thought we were farmers, so they didn't touch us until we got into that mountain. Then the Germans did come there, but they didn't arrive all the way up to the mountain that time. They came after 6, 7 months there and killed half of the people that live in that mountain, which there were around 100 people at that time. Killed half of them. And we didn't get killed. We got lucky. Some of them died, some of them natural, some of them they were sick. And food, there was no food. And living in a mountain, we had to go out and get whatever we could find. A tomato, potato, that they could make something to eat. That was a very, very, very hard times. Very hard times. From hunger to sickness to being scared. A lot of dead people around you. It was a very, very rough time that I remember. And it was bad, and that still up to date, still remember it. I was 7 years old, and I remember every scene that I think. My family, we went up in that village, approximately 100 people. Germans came there one night, and we were living in 3 houses, around 45 people. One night the Germans came over, took the first house, put them against the wall, and they shot them all. Took the second house, and we were looking from the window, and my father, I remember saying that, well, we tried. We gave it a very good try, and we were hugging everybody because we knew we would be the next ones. And somebody came in with a motorcycle, said something to the captain of the Germans that they were downstairs, and they all left. And we were only the only survivors. The other two houses, around 25 people, they were dead. I remember my father saying that we're gonna go through this war alive. We're gonna make it. And fortunate, we did make it. We were 22 people, women and little children. They would stay there. Men and grown-up children would go up in the mountains, and it's a special kind of tree that burns very slow, gives you a lot of heat. We had to go get those trees for us to keep warm at night. Many times there were a lot of snakes there. Many times where people were beaten, died up in the mountains by getting these things. And we were lucky. One day, my first English word that I ever learned, it was a Spitfire. An aeroplane came in, they call it Spitfire. It dropped a big box. It was peanut butter, corned beef. It brought food, and that supplied, and people stayed alive because of this, of the peanut butter and corned beef that this aeroplane threw down. For around 6 months, Germans came over there looking for Jewish people. They were killing anybody in their way. And they took a mother, a father, and a daughter, approximately 15 years old. The village, the center of the village, there was only one pump that you pump to get water, the only place of the entire village. The Germans made a hole, buried the 3 people up to their heads, and they make a very big circle around it for several days, and we kids were looking and saw the vultures coming out and eating the heads. And after several days, there were just 3 heads. And nobody will go get water from there, so we'd have to go to another side of the mountain and to carry some water. So that remains in my head forever. I remember that so clear. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's what had happened up in the mountains, in that village. We survived because the Americans came and the Germans started to go back. So Americans liberate Europe. And after a while, we left the mountain, we left the cave, and we went back to my hometown, which is Larissa. The house was occupied with people. They refused to let us go into the house. So we stay in the front yard of the house until people realized that my parents were the owners of this house, and they left, and then we moved into the house. We had no shoes. We walked without shoes. My father found a tire. He cut the tire into the shape of a sole, and we put it with some wires, and that's what we used for shoes for for a year or so, until My father started to sell lemons in a corner, and we started to work a little bit, tried to pick up a little money to get to be able to feed. And that was the end of there were no more Germans. Uh, the country was freed from the German occupation, and slowly they make a life again. My brothers went to school, and but very hard. Everything was very hard. I lost all my uncles and aunties, a lot of cousins, lost half the family. They were all in castration camp. My brother-in-law was taken to castration camp with his mother and father and the brothers and sisters, and they arrived in Auschwitz. As he was telling us, he was the only survivor. It was raining, and the Germans put all the brothers and sisters in the ovens and they burned them up. A German comes over, takes his mother, and my brother-in-law hold the mother by the shoulder, and the German guy comes in with a knife and slices his hand off. Took the mother, put him in the oven, but because it was raining, he put mud in the hand, and he was the only survivor, which he passed. He died 3 weeks ago at the age of 89 years old. I have a lot of memories. Wake up at night, I saw a lot of dead people in my life. What really stayed with me was the family, Christian family, that they were buried. They refused to say where the Jewish people are, and the Germans buried them up to their necks, and the vultures ate them. The vultures killed them. That thing stayed in, still is. I still remember this thing, what I've seen. I've seen a lot of dead people in my life, all that in Greece. So it was a very, very rough time, and I hope it'll never happen again. Never happen to nobody. So I tried to keep this thing alive. Try to tell the kids that what happened should never happen into no country. Try to tell the kids that, because some of them, they think there was never happen anything like that in Europe. Don't even believe that a thing like that could happen to human beings. By telling them, I hope they remember, and I hope they're going to be better citizens. And it does a lot of good for students to learn what people of Europe went through. And if I can help, my son is a school teacher, he teaches history, and many times he has movies on the classroom, he teaches Holocaust, and sometimes I go to the school and reinforce whatever the movie is showing. And I tell them I was there, I saw that, I said this. And it was, that's something good. I hope it does something good. The world is not very stable right now. And I just hope never happened to anybody what happened to us.